What is up, everybody? Chris, the old-ass retro gamer here, back again to stream another video game collection. Live stream? Yes. Today is part 3 of my Sony PlayStation 2 collection. Collection's so big, I had to break it up into 3 parts. Definitely gonna have to do this for a couple of the upcoming consoles as well, because I've looked at today. I looked at the numbers for each of my collections, and right now the PlayStation 2 is my second largest collection that I have. Number one is definitely the PlayStation 4, so that might be 4 videos. I don't know, but whatever. So yes, today is part 3 of my Sony PlayStation 2 collection. Want to talk about this. I say this in every live stream that I do for these video game collection live streams, that I'm not doing this to show off anything, to brag. I'm doing it to have a visual record of what I have in my collection currently, just in case there's something that happens, like, get robbed, there's a fire, something like that. I have a visual record to say this is what I have. Hey, how's it going, Vidya Gamer? Welcome. And I also do it because it's fun, and it's extra content for the channel. Why not? One thing I want to say is, last week when I came to certain games I talked about, I said that I was probably going to sell some of these in order to get them for the original Xbox, because they're in HD on that channel. Or on that channel. On the channel? Really, Chris? On that console. I did that. Last Friday, I went to a local store. They had a bunch of those games I was talking about, so I repurchased them, and now I'm getting rid of those games for the PlayStation. A couple of them you might actually see here, because I never got a chance to talk about them last week. And, yeah, they're getting changed over. So I'll talk about them when I get there, and you'll also see which ones I'm talking about that I repurchased when I get to the Xbox. How's it going, Top Spot? And Tony's here. Yay! Back in the day gamer. How's everybody doing tonight? So, part 3 of the PlayStation 2 collection. So many games I had to break it into 3 parts. Shall we get going on this? Because there's a lot of games to talk about. Oh god, I hope this table does not break. So, first game I have here is Rez. I did not know that this game came out on the PlayStation. I first played this on the Xbox 360. They released it as a downloadable game. I picked it up because I had read a lot about it. I thought it was a Japan-only game at that point. I know it came out for the PlayStation 2, just not here. I thought it was only Japan-only. And played it there, and I loved it. It's a sort of like a rhythm game and a Star Fox-style on-rails shooter. And the combination of the two is fantastic. It is amazing. But the funny thing is, this is the most recent version of this game I've played. So like I said, I've played the 360 version, which I loved. Then I got the PlayStation 4/PSVR version from IM 8-bit, and I've played it on the PlayStation 4 as well as in VR. It is one of the best VR games there is. And then this is the last version of it that I found, and I randomly found this, I do believe, at a half-price books. The one by where I work, I just end up finding so much cool stuff. I mean, everyone else whines about like the half-price books by them having garbage. Not the one in Skokie, Illinois. That one is amazing. Like I say, every time I go there, it's like someone had brought their entire collection of video games the day before, and they have just put it out in anticipation of my showing up with my wallet. So, Rez, fantastic game. I highly recommend it. Pick it up in any form that you possibly can. It is the best. Let me move some stuff around here so I can make room for these games as I talk about them. Yeah, the last game I talked about last week was Resident Evil Code Veronica X. So like I said, I'm going across the rows of the shelving unit that I have all my games on. So part 1 was the first row, last week was the second row, today is the third and final row. Try to beat Darkwing Duck on the TurboGrafx 16 or the NES. I don't know. Rez, when I bought it, I think I paid $12 for it at the half-price books. I remember when I did learn about this being that this did come out in the U.S., it was pretty expensive, but that was probably in 2013-ish. Ridge Racer 5, nothing to write home about, is another Ridge Racer racing game. I have very fond memories of playing the original game on the OG PlayStation. This one I have played just to test it out, and it is a Ridge Racer game. That's all I can say. Yeah, the TurboGrafx 16 version is a trash. It's one of the TurboGrafx games I will probably never purchase. I tried it out on an emulator, and I was like, wow, somebody actually quality controlled this game and released it thinking that people were going to enjoy it. Yeah. So last week I talked about the Mark of Kree. Today I got the sequel, Rise of the Kasai. It's a 3D beat 'em up, and it's actually pretty fantastic. Not really, I don't remember the name of the characters, but Rao. Yeah, Rao and Tati. Yeah, this time you have two characters you can play as, a female and a male character. The male character returns from the first one, but it is pretty fantastic. I highly recommend these games if you like 3D beat-em-ups, and the storyline is pretty awesome as well. This one is awesome. Everyone gave this game shit when it first came out, but I think it's pretty cool. And it's cool that it's what it is, and it's Rise to Honor. It's the Jet Li video game. Just like Jackie Chan had Stuntmaster on the PlayStation 1, Jet Li got his own game on the PS2. And you know what? As a 3D beat-em-up and shooter, it's kind of like a John Woo video game. It got perfected when Stranglehold came out for the PlayStation 3 and the 360. But like for an action game starring, a Hong Kong action star, it is certainly pretty awesome. I actually loved it when I was playing this back in the day. Picked it up day one when it first came out. Absolutely loved it, and I kind of feel the need to play through it again. Yeah, I talked about it when I did the NES live stream, that when I picked up Darkwing Duck, I got it at a half-price books. That was really out of the way. They had it it was pretty expensive, but I had a lot of stuff I was trading in, and I got it, brought it home, played it, and I was like, why is this just a Mega Man ripoff? I mean, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's like the greatest thing ever. I picked this up at the Exchange nearby, and I bought it just because it looked strange. I didn't really know anything about it, except from the franchise that this is spun off from. It's called River King, A Wonderful Journey. This is a Harvest Moon spin-off. But the thing is, this one focuses on fishing. So I got it for, I think, a whopping $5. And for that price, I was like, I've always wanted to try these Harvest Moon games, including some spin-offs, because, there's got to be something going on if these Harvest Moon games are still coming out nowadays. So, why not? So, yeah, it's a Harvest Moon fishing game. Really cutesy and all that. Can't complain. Next up is Robin Hood, Defender of the Crown. I don't remember if this is supposed to be a sequel or a remake, and they added Robin Hood into it, but Defender of the Crown was a Cinemaware game that came out originally for the PCs. Cinemaware, they did Rocket Ranger, and a couple other games, but they're like interactive movies, from the 90s. And they brought Defender of the Crown, which was one of them, over to the PlayStation 2, and I think they added Robin Hood into the storyline. I can't be sure. I do not recall Robin Hood being in the original one. But then again, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time playing the original one, so I could be wrong on all counts. But whatever, Defender of the Crown. It's like a bunch of mini games. There's like sword fighting and jousting and all sorts of stuff in there. Yeah. It's okay. I think I got it for like $5. This one's pretty cool. Robotech Battle Cry. Here's another one that I'm probably going to get for the Xbox if I can find it. It's a multiplayer, but it is... Oh, God, how do I describe it? It's like a flight simulator, but you're a robot. What's it called? Omega Boost, I guess, would be the closest comparison. But yeah, you're flying around in one of those Macross fighters that can transform into a robot. Jetfire, if you're a Transformers fan. But it's... Yeah. It's Omega Boost in Robotech Land. And I remember playing this back in the day. I picked it up when it first came out, and I thought it was pretty entertaining, even though I was not huge into Battletech. So, there's that. Come here. This one's got some sticker residue on it. Glitchy as hell, Rocky. You know me with the licensed games, gotta have it. Boxing game where you play as Rocky. You go up against Clubber Lang and Drago and everybody else, and you build up your stats by beating on slabs of meat. And if I remember correctly, it's this one. There's a sequel also called Rocky Legends. I do have that also for the Xbox. This is the one that's glitchy as hell. where people's faces get all mangled and stuff like that. It's bizarre, but it's not the worst. It's not great either. There's better boxing games out there like Fight Night. Picked this one up a few years ago, and it was one when I got my tax return. I was like, I need to pick that game up. You know, it's pretty expensive normally, so I found someone slipping on the Amazon Marketplace and picked this up, and I was super happy that I did. I need to play it some more, but it's Rogue Galaxy. It's a pirate RPG, and it looks fantastic. And I played it for a little while, like I said, when I first got it to try it out. Love the graphic style. It's very cartoony, almost cel-shaded-ish. And the gameplay is great, and I love the combat. So I need to put more time into it. Yarr! Oh, we got a twofer right here. Yeah, we do. Talked about the first game in this series when I was doing the original PlayStation live streams. We got RPG Maker 2 and RPG Maker 3. Picked both of these up at Half Price Books. I find everything there. But yes, make your own RPGs on the PlayStation 2. Each one has its own pluses and minuses. The third one has more of a 3D aspect to it, and the second one is kind of like isometric RPGs. So each one has its own thing going on. Pretty cool. When I do get around to finally trying these out and actually trying to make an RPG of my own, I think I'm going to start with the original, try to make a 16-bit style RPG, and then move on to 2, and then move on to 3. Maybe I'll make like a bunch of games in one series, my own little RPG series. We shall see. There's also, I do believe, a Fighter Maker 2 on the PlayStation 2, if I'm not mistaken. I might need to look that up, because I have the first one for the PS1. This one's awesome. I think this is one that I refused to sell. When I lost my job in 2011 and had to like sell off my collection, there were a few games for certain consoles that I refused to sell off because I knew that if I ever did get back into collecting, it'd be a real pain in the ass to try to get them back because I knew that they were expensive at the time. And this was one of them, R-Type Final. I don't remember if this was one of those or not, but I get a feeling that it was. Yeah, there's a 3DS one called Fez, RPG Maker Fez. I do own that. And there's also a brand new one coming out like in March or April for the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. And Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming and I are talking about each buying it and then making an RPG and then sending it to the other person to play. And we review each other's RPGs. But R-Type Final, it is probably one of the best R-Type games I've ever played. You know, obviously side-scrolling or horizontally scrolling shmup. This one is like visually a powerhouse. I love it. And how many freaking ships do you get to choose from? Look at that cover. It is fantastic. I absolutely love it. That's one of my favorite shmups. I found this one at the Disc Replay by where I work. It's not there anymore. I think I mentioned that a couple times. And I found it for like $2, and I said, what the hell, why not? But it's Rumble Roses. Yeah, it's female wrestling. Boobies. Lots and lots of boobies and butt cheeks. It's okay. It's not bad. Could have been better. I still like the Def Jam Vendetta, the Def Jam series of wrestling games more. I still haven't tried this one, but I need to. It's called Run Like Hell, or RLH. I don't know what you're supposed to call it, but on the spine it says Run Like Hell. It's a survival horror sort of game, first-person shooter, I think, where aliens are loose on an installation in space somewhere, and you need to kill them all. I thought it sounded kind of cool, so I picked it up. This one's awesome. This is like a ripoff of God of War. It's the reboot of Rygar, The Legendary Adventure. But instead of using the blades on the chains, you've got your shield weapon here from the original Rygar game, and it is a complete ripoff of God of War, but it is a pretty great ripoff of God of War, if I must say. I enjoy this one a lot. I got pretty far in it back in the day. I bought it the day it came out, and I got pretty far, like I said, and I never got around to beating it. Like I said, back then, I would always get distracted by new games. Nowadays, I just don't play the games. I have to like, oh, you need to go over there and play that freaking game. No, back then I would like buy a game and then a new one would come out and I'd get distracted and I'd completely forget about it. So, yes, it's fantastic. I highly recommend it. There's another game in that series for the Wii, which is awesome as well. Still haven't opened this one up because it came in a pack. There we go. So I picked this one up at Gen Con, of all places. Like I mentioned before, I don't remember which collection pickup video. It might have been the Sega CD one. Gen Con is like a board game and card game and tabletop RPG convention. I used to go there every year. I went there from 2009. I think the last time I went was in 2016 or something. And they have a auction that they do. You can bring your stuff to the convention, and they will auction your stuff off for you. You put like a set price, what you want the bidding to start at. And they also have a consignment store attached to the auction room where if you don't want your stuff auctioned off, you can have it put there, just put up for sale. Or if it doesn't sell in the auction, it'll go in the consignment store. Well, every single day I would go to the consignment store to see what they had. And every day the first year that I went there to do the auction. I'd gone there for years and never even bothered with the auction. The first year I did it was probably 2015. And went in the auction consignment store, and I found video games like every single day, brand new ones. And one of the ones I found was Sakura Wars, So Long My Love. It's like the collector's edition or whatever. Came with the box. Still kind of has like a GameStop EB Gamesy sticker on it I should probably try to remove. Also comes with, what is this, the manual? Yep. Comes with a gigantic freaking manual. What is this, a program? It's like an art book program. The Little Lip Theater, New York, 1928. Okay. And a poster. One of the characters. Awesome. So the thing was, when I bought it, it wasn't that expensive, so I picked it up because I was like, oh, look, a new PlayStation 2 RPG that I've never played. I've always wanted to try one of these Sakura Wars games. And I got it home, and I opened it up, and it's still sealed. Like, the person who owned this bought it, never even played it, and then decided to get rid of it, which is okay with me. But, you know, then again, I did the exact same thing. So, say what you will. But I do want to play this at some point. Maybe this will be one of the ones I play this year. Like I'm saying, I'm trying to play RPG games all this year if I can. Why did I put the game back in there when the game is going to go back on the shelf, and the box is going to go above my head? I'm dumb. What's up? What's up, Gamer Calabra? Opening my unopened games? Yeah, I could do the exact same thing, Top Spot. Trust me. It probably will happen at some point. Picked this one up at half price also, but I never played this one. I played the first game in the series, I do believe, on the PlayStation 1. This is Samurai Legend Musashi. I remember I played Brave Fencer Musashi on the PlayStation 1. I liked that one a lot. So when I saw this at the store, I picked it up. Still have not played this, but it is, from what I understand, a 3D beat-em-up by Square Enix. So that looks awesome. Graphically, it looks fantastic. Everything's all angular and stuff. I love it. Need to play it. Pick this one up because I'm kind of buddies with Radical Reggie, and every once in a while when he goes to film a Hidden Gems video with Metal Jesus, he'll send me like a text message and say like, hey dude, these are the games we're going to talk about. If any of them interest you, I'd suggest you buy it now before we release the video, because once we do, you know, the price always jumps up. So he sent me a list of video of games he was talking about for the PlayStation 2 like a year ago, and this was one of them, and it's Samurai Western. And since I do love Rising Zan on the PlayStation 1, which is like a samurai western beat-em-up run-and-gun type game for the original PlayStation, I thought this just sounded fantastic as well. And it is. It is a 3D beat-em-up western with samurai swords and ninjas. It's crazy. I absolutely love it. Old school manuals. Oh, yeah. Nowadays, PlayStation 4 games and all that, nothing in there. Only time I get a manual nowadays is if I order a game from Limited Run. Still haven't played this one. It can't be great, but whatever. I wanted to get all the games based on this series of movies, so I had to have it. And that is The Scorpion King, Rise of the Akkadian, based on the spin-off movie featuring The Rock that came out around the same time. It's okay looking. At least the graphics in here look better than the Scorpion King looked at the end of The Mummy Returns. So there's that. This one I talked about in my PlayStation 2 not Hidden Gems. I don't use Hidden Gems. Diamonds in the Rough. This one I talked about because it's based sort of on a movie. It is, but it's cyberpunky, steampunky. It's Seven Samurai 20XX. It's a 3D beat 'em up that follows the Seven Samurai storyline, but it takes place in like a steampunk future, and it's crazy and nuts, and it is awesome at the same time. I absolutely love it. It can be a little bit slow at times, but for a 3D beat 'em up, it is great, and you get all these characters you can unlock and everything. It's fantastic. The combo system is great. I highly recommend that one if you can find it. I got that for like $10 on eBay one day, randomly. I just like, oh, this is game based on the Seven Samurai. I should probably have that, and I loved it. I still haven't played this one, but RPG, Shadow Hearts. I got this, I do believe, from Nintendo, I think. He was selling a bunch of stuff, and I got this from him. I got it from someone on Facebook, I remember that. But I haven't played it. Haven't played this one either, but it's a Capcom 3D beat 'em up, Shadow of Rome. The idea of playing a 3D beat 'em up like during what is this? Yeah, 44 BC in the Roman Empire. I thought it sounded kind of cool. When I saw that there was a fight going on like in the Colosseum, I was like, I'm in. I'm totally in. I still need to play it though. This one I probably am going to be getting rid of. I don't know why I own this. I do believe it's based on an yeah, Shonen Jumps. Yeah, I'm probably going to be getting rid of this one. It's called Shaman King, Power of Spirit. It looks kind of like a action RPG or a strategy type game. Yeah, tactics game, fighting action. Yeah. It's based on an anime I know nothing about, so I'm probably just going to get rid of it. I picked this one up, I remember, for a whole $1.50 at Disc Replay, and that's the only reason I bought it. I was like, oh, look, cheap games, add to the collection, yay! I'm probably going to get rid of it. I'm probably going to get rid of this, too. Why did I buy this? Because it was a penny. That's why. I've talked about how there was a seller on Amazon who was selling like sealed PlayStation 2 games for a penny, and he was making all of his money through the shipping cost. Probably the same thing I was doing at my old job was, and whenever I would sell something on eBay, we had a shipping department. I would just go over there and ship it through work, and work would pay for the shipping. So he's probably doing the same thing here. But I bought a whole bunch of games sealed from this one seller, and each one was a penny, including Shaun White snowboarding. So you know what? I'm going to set this one aside because this one's probably going bye-bye. Like I said, it was a penny. I didn't care what it was. Picked this one up at the same Gen Con where I got Sakura Wars. Actually, both of these I did. Shining Force and Shining Tears. Two more RPGs I have not played. Put them right over here. Because I'm ashamed. And then two more in a series. Okay, so sometimes Amazon can be your friend. A lot of times people are there trying to rip you off, just like on eBay. Other times it's like a place where people who don't know any better sell their shit. So I've been looking forward to buying these games for a long time because I want to get all the games in this series, and found them on Amazon for, I do believe, like, what was it, like $5 each or something like that. So I got Shin Megami Tensei, Digital Devil Saga, and the sequel, Part 2. And Nintendo tells me that these two are the best games in the series, or at least his favorites in the series. I have not played them yet because, as you can tell, they are still sealed. Got them for like $5 each, so I could not complain. But I love me Shin Megami Tensei. Absolutely needed to have these in the collection. And we're going to continue with that series with what I picked up at... This is funny. I picked this up at... Let's see if you can see it. Game Dude in LA when I was visiting my brother. 2016, I think. Found this really cheap. And the thing was, there's two versions of this game. It's you just saw it. I might as well show it. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. There's two versions of this game. There's the game alone, and then there's like this collector edition version, which comes with a soundtrack. And they didn't have them separated by price, and they had one of each version of the game at the store. And I was like, give me the one with the soundtrack for the exact same price as the one without. And they did, and they never not say anything. So yep, has the soundtrack and the game itself. Another RPG / dating simulator / demon wrangler game. Love Shin Megami Tensei, it's amazing. And we got another one. We got actually the box up here. Don't fall out on me. We have Persona 3. I have not played this one yet, but I have played the first one on the PSP, and I really liked it. I don't know if this is considered a collector's edition, but the special edition or whatever this is comes with this Art of Persona 3 book and this cool little box, as well as the video game. And I did not want to play Part 3, which everyone says is their favorite one usually, until I played the other ones. So I picked up Part 1 and 2 on the PSP because the ones for the original PlayStation are like ridiculously expensive. So yeah, Persona 3. There's also a upgraded version of this called Persona 3 Fez, which I should probably look up as well if I want to get all of them. More games, bitch. Yep. And that leads me to Persona 4. Have not played this one either, but this one has a soundtrack as well. Yes, it is. Persona 4 comes with a soundtrack too. Why not? So many games in that series. And I had Persona 5, but I sold it because they released like the complete edition, so I need that now. Welcome, Jason. Welcome, welcome. Shinobi. Last week I talked about Nightshade, which was the spin-off sequel to this that I've been looking for years. Can never find it anywhere. Shinobi, I find everywhere I go. So, could not pass that up. And it's a reboot of the Shinobi series, but it's done sort of like a God of War style game. So 3D beat 'em up, Shinobi style. Absolutely had to have it. Put this down here. Yeah. Talked about this one in my PlayStation 2 Diamonds in the Rough as well. It's the sequel to Sylphid. This is Sylphid, The Lost Planet. It's by Game Arts. And Treasure. Treasure is one of my favorite developers of all time. And this plays pretty much like the one for the Sega CD or whatever computer it was, the Amiga or whatever it originally came out for. But the graphics in this game are fantastic. Like, it is beyond awesome looking, and it plays great. One of my all-time favorite shmups. I love this game beyond belief. It is amazing. Picked this one up, the Midwest Gaming Classic. I think it was the first Midwest Gaming Classic I ever went to. Siren, Japanese horror game. And I bought it because it just looks creepy. There's all these weird faces and stuff all over the box. There's a shot I found of the game where some guy like says there's something on my chest, and he opens up his shirt and there's like this face right here like on his chest, and it's creepy as hell. Need to play it. Need to play some more horror games in 2020, and that's going to be one of them. Picked this up for like $1 at half price books. It's Sky Odyssey. It's airplane racing. Nothing fancy. Like I said, it was cheap, so I picked it up. Love this one. It's a sequel to a PlayStation 1 game. It's a Sledstorm, snowmobile racing. It's not like Hydro Thunder or what is it? What is it? Snowcross Thunder or whatever it was? Arctic Thunder. That's it. It's not like that, but it's more like let me see. We're gonna compare this to shit. I don't know. Like a Hot Wheels game, I guess. I don't know. It's snowmobile racing. Don't need to spend too much time talking about it. Picked this one up recently, Smuggler's Run. Okay, so I would go on to Twitch to watch people stream, and I want to say for like a month, everybody was streaming this damn game. Musty Hobbit was streaming it with his buddy, huge DiCaprio fan. Pete Dorr was streaming it, and someone else was too. And this is like a launch game, I think, for the PlayStation 2, and it looked like every time I would watch it, somebody would play it, I'd be like, I need that game. It looks like a huge amount of fun. So picked it up, found this maybe 2 months ago or whatever, and yeah, it is. Basically, you have contraband, and you need to get it from point A to point B, and there's always cops on your ass, and you need to figure out how to get rid of them, lose them, whatever, pick up another load of drugs, money, whatever, and get to the next checkpoint before you get caught. It's just really fun and really crazy. I really enjoyed that one. SNK Arcade Classics Volume 1. I don't know if there's a Volume 2. If anybody does know, let me know. But it's a compilation with a bunch of SNK games on it, like Art of Fighting, Baseball Stars 2, Burning Fight, Fatal Fury, King of the Monsters, Last Resort, awesome shmup, Magician Lord, one of my favorites, Metal Slug, hell yeah, Neo Turf Masters, Samurai Showdown, Sengoku, Shock Troopers, Super Sidekicks 3, King of Fighters 94, Top Hunter, and World Heroes. 16 games on one disc. Couldn't pass that up. I love compilations. Lets me play games that I normally wouldn't be able to play. Like, I am never, ever, ever gonna have a Neo Geo unless I win the lottery. So that gives me a way to play the games I will never have in my collection. So with this one, I need the box, which is right over here above my head. I've never played any of these games in my life, but there's 3 of them. I think there's also a 4th on the original, or on the PlayStation 2. But it's one of the, like, signature games for when it came to online gaming with the PlayStation 2, and that's SOCOM. There's also SOCOM 2 and SOCOM 3, and I do believe there's a 4th one also. It's not called SOCOM 4, it's SOCOM, and it has like a subtitle. But the version of the first one that I have is the one that came with the microphone. And it comes in this huge, oversized box that is a little beat up. But yeah, it comes with the microphone, which is seen better days. USB plug and everything. But yeah, found this at, I do believe, what was it? The Disc Replay, when I first got back into collecting. So, saw that, and it was pretty cheap. I want to say this was $10. So, I picked it up. Never played it. Can't really play it anymore because it's an online multiplayer game, and there's no such thing anymore on the PlayStation 2 as far as I know. So those games are pretty much useless in taking up space, but whatever. They're pretty cool. Soulcalibur 3. This is the game that sort of turned me off on Soulcalibur for a little while. I loved the first one, loved the second one, absolutely loved the second one. And then the third one was just kind of like nothing was done to it. It was just a couple of new characters added in, and there was nothing done to tweak the gameplay. It was just kind of like a sidestep. Didn't really do anything to improve the formula. So I kind of got turned off on it for a little while. But then Part 4 came around and completely changed my tune again. But yeah, one-on-one fighting game. Awesome graphics. Awesome characters. Just not my favorite in the series. Unlike Soul Reaver 2, this is part of the Legacy of Kain series. I absolutely love the Legacy of Kain games. I need to play through all of them again now that I do believe I have every single one of them. But Soul Reaver, the original Soul Reaver, is one of my favorite like 3D platformers. I played it on the Dreamcast originally back in the day. I still haven't played through Part 2, but I need to play through like all of the Legacy of Kain games in a row. I do believe, the first Legacy of Kain, then we got Soul Reaver 1 and 2, then we have Blood Omen 2, and then Defiance, which is where Kain and Raziel come together into one game. Absolutely love it. Need to play through all of them. This one, hells to the yes. So, Space Channel 5 Special Edition. Space Channel 5 was for a little while an exclusive for the Dreamcast by Sega. I'm not sure how Age Tech got their hands on it, but they did, and they put it on the PlayStation 2. There was a sequel available for the Dreamcast of Space Channel 5. We didn't get it over here, but it's on here. So you got 2 games in one. So, like I said, it's got 2 discs. One is Part 1, and one is, where are you? Part 2. But it's a rhythm game where basically it's like Simon Says, where you have a rhythm going, and someone will do like a series of dance moves. They'll go like up, up, left, 2, shoot, and then you have to do the exact same thing to the beat. Michael Jackson shows up at one point in a giant silver tunic. It's crazy. It's goofy and silly, but it's fun. 2 discs. Pick this one up because Metal Jesus cannot stop talking about this damn game. He has talked about it ever since I started watching his channel in 2013. And I think he still talks about it to this day. And I wasn't really on the lookout for it. I found this at an out-of-the-way half-price books for a couple of bucks, so I picked it up, and it's Splashdown, Rides Gone Wild. This is kind of like Arctic Thunder, Hydro Thunder, those San Francisco Rush type games where it's racing, but there's a lot of secrets and stuff like that for you to uncover. Except this one is you're on jet skis, and it's actually pretty fun. I mean, I don't think it's like the greatest damn thing like he says, but I mean, it is entertaining. I can't complain. This is another one Reggie turned me on to when he said, hey, Metal Jesus and I are going to be talking about these games in the next Hidden Gems video. You might want to buy it. So I picked up Spy Fiction. It's a James Bondy action 3D like stealth action game. I have not played it yet, but it looks pretty cool. So can't complain about that either. And it was relatively cheap because I got it before they released that NVIDIA. So Captain Algebra tells me I should not play these games, but I don't care. Spyro, Enter the Dragonfly. This is probably the first Spyro game I've ever owned. I've never played a Spyro game. I never played it for the PlayStation 1 back in the day. So yeah, I think this is the first one I've ever bought. And I still haven't played it, but 3D platformer with a cute little mascot. Little Puff the Magic Dragon, purple guy. I should probably get that Spyro reimagined. No, I shouldn't, because 2/3 of the game isn't even on the damn disc. Pick this one up because of Reggie telling me that it's awesome. Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Sci-fi RPG that's so big it's on 2 discs. Why not? I love sci-fi. I like RPGs, so why not? Only thing was, I need to play through them all in order, so hasn't been played yet. Not only because it's an RPG, but because I need to get a repro of the original game on the Super Nintendo. But I do have a lot of the games in that series. I don't know why I have this one either, but whatever. Starsky and Hutch. It's like it's just a racing game where you play as the 2 characters from the TV show from the 70s. I was never a fan of the show. I never really watched it. I think I picked this up because it was $1 at Half Price Books, and that's why. So, yeah, there's that. And licensed games. This is one of my favorites. Okay, guys, you know that I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm a huge Star Trek fan. And the Star Trek game I did not expect to like as much as I do as this one. This is probably going to be in a video coming up pretty soon where I talk about Star Trek Conquests. I absolutely love this game. I used to have it on the Wii back when it first came out. And it was, I think, a budget title game back then. And I decided I'd rather just have it for the PlayStation 2, so I bought the PlayStation 2 version and I never sold it. So what it is like playing a board game almost. You start off, you can be the Federation, the Klingons, not the Romulans, the Klingons, the Federation, maybe the Cardassians, I think. There's 3 factions you can start off as. And you're fighting over territory. And once you take over a system, you can start to build resource creation units. Like you can have ones that build ore that let you build bigger ships, or you can have ones that make that mine energy and stuff like that. You can build more ships and build fleets that will protect each system that you've taken. And the whole idea is you need to take over this whole board of systems. And as you play through the game, you unlock more factions you can play as, and each one has their pluses and minuses. You unlock the Ferengi, you unlock the Borg, you unlock the Dominion. I know the Romulans are in there also. The Breen. It's crazy. I absolutely love it. And this is like one Star Trek game I just keep going back to over and over again because it's also one that you can just sit down and play for 15 minutes and you finish the game. And it's great. I absolutely love it. This is my favorite Star Trek video game that I own. And it's not one that I thought I would own, that I would like that much, which is a thing. Unlike Star Trek Encounters, this one is when Bethesda released this one also, but this one's like a completely different thing. The funny thing is, when you take a system and there's someone else that occupies it, you have the option of either having the computer do the fighting for you, according to statistics, or you could do it yourself in this 3D fight mode, which I hate. Because it's the same fighting that you do in Encounters, and I do not like the combat at all. So I always let the computer do it for me in Conquest. But yeah, it's a 3D space simulator, kind of like Wing Commander type game where you play as Federation ships and whatnot. And the storyline is okay, but I just do not like the combat at all, and that's probably its biggest downfall. And then there's the port of Star Trek Voyager Elite Force. This is a first-person shooter in the Star Trek Voyager universe. I like how this tagline is "Set phasers to frag." That happened. But yeah, it's a first-person shooter in the Voyager universe. It has multiplayer, 4-player at the same time if you have one of those multi-taps. And you fight Borg, you fight Romulans, you fight all this kind of crazy shit. And it's actually pretty fun. I wish we got I know that the second game, which I did have for the PC... Oh, I got the hiccups all of a sudden. The PC game of Elite Force 2 wasn't the greatest thing ever. It's not as good as this, but I would have been cool to have that also on the PlayStation 2. Wow. Hiccups. Excuse me. Oh, it depends on what ships you have in your fleet, because you have like 3 or 4 different types of ships. You have like the Galaxy class ones, which are like destroyers. You have the mid-sized ones, which are the Defiant, and then you have the ones that are Voyager, which are like the support craft. And depending on what you have available in each system and what the enemy is bringing to that system to fight with, it'll like roll the dice for you. And it's actually really, really good. I love it. No, I did not at all. But thanks for trying. But welcome, Peter. Welcome to the stream. Awesome to see you here. Star Wars games now. We got Star Wars Bounty Hunter. Never was a big fan of this game back in the day, but recently I started to like it a little bit because they just released it on the PlayStation 4, and I was like, yeah, I want to get all these Star Wars games, right? So got to get that. So Bounty Hunter is a 3D action run and gun, I guess, 3D action game where you play as Jango Fett, and you go around doing missions, collecting bounties and whatnot. It's actually kind of cool, now that I think about it. This is awesome. I'm not a fan of the movie, but the Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith adaptation for the video games is fantastic. I absolutely love this one. I bought it for the Xbox. This is probably another one I'm going to be getting for the Xbox. Like I said, when I first started collecting anything I found, I didn't care what consoles for. I was just buying to have stuff in the collection. But I think I would rather have this for the Xbox because high def. And yeah, even though I don't like the movie all that much, it recreates the movie very well, takes all the right action beats and turns them into action scenes in the games. The lightsaber fighting is great. Platforming is fun. It's just a really well done game based on a movie that I do not really enjoy. But this one is highly recommended. This one, and like I said, the one that I talked about in the good Star Wars games video, the Episode 3 game for the Game Boy Advance, are fantastic. It was a toss-up between talking about this or that Game Boy Advance game, and I decided to go with the Game Boy Advance game. You know, I love Wing Commander games, so I definitely had to have Star Wars Jedi Starfighter. It's, Wing Commander, Rogue Squadron, what have you, outer space, dogfight simulator in Star Wars land. Fantastic. This is the sequel. There was the original Star Wars Starfighter, which was like Naboo ships and stuff like that, and this one is based more in Episode 2 and 3 territory. And here's the original Starfighter. Like I said, Naboo ships and whatnot. So, Episode 1... Episode 2. Maybe we should get a third one. Man, wouldn't it be cool to get a new game in this series based on like the sequel trilogy? That'd be kind of cool. And then I talked about this one in the bad Star Wars video games because not that it's a bad game, it's just very unnecessary and kind of dumb. A dumb idea. And that's Super Bombad Racing. So it's Star Wars kart racing with chibi Star Wars characters. Like, it plays fine. It's a fun kart racing game. Doesn't break the mold. Doesn't do anything different. You know, it just has a Star Wars coat of paint over it. But like, it just seems very unnecessary. And Anakin, I'm sorry. You can see him on the back here. Look at that. He is nightmarish looking. Like, I will swallow your soul. I think I have both. Yep, both of these. Still haven't played. Well, no, take that back. I've played the first one a little bit back in the day because I rented it, but I never owned it. And that's State of Emergency, which is a 3D beat 'em up during a riot, and its sequel, State of Emergency 2, which I still have not played, but I've played the first one a little bit. Like I said, I rented it back in the day, and I thought it was pretty fun, enough to want to get it when I found it at a half-price books. Part 2, I ended up having to hunt down. I don't remember exactly where I got it. Maybe it was on eBay or something. But yeah, this took some doing to get. And it wasn't expensive or anything. It's just, there's not a lot of copies out there for some reason. But yeah, Save Emergency, really fun. The only thing is the graphics aren't the greatest because there's so many people on screen at times that the polygon counts are pretty low. So it doesn't look amazing. Part 2 looks like it fixes some of that, but really fun games. A really fun game. I don't know about the second one. And I can't talk. Let's see what I got here. Okay. Still haven't played this one because RPG. Stella Deus, The Gate of Eternity. Yeah, Atlas RPG. It looks awesome. Haven't played it because it's an RPG. Street Fighter Alpha Anthology. This has Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, 2 Gold, 3, and Super Gem Fighter, which I own for the Saturn, the import Saturn version, but there it's called Pocket Fighter. But I love Street Fighter and any incarnation. 1, 2, well, not 1. Part 1 is garbage. Street Fighter 2 is great. Street Fighter 3 is great. Street Fighter 4 is great. Street Fighter 5 is great when it actually was a non-online game. And I love the alpha games as well. You're going to see a sneak preview here. So, like I said, on Friday, I went to Video Games Then and Now. I finally had some money to burn, so I can go and get some new games added to the collection, and found a bunch of games, like I said, for the PlayStation, that I have for the PlayStation 2 that I would rather have on the Xbox. Found some new games, too. And so, you haven't seen this in one of my monthly pickup videos yet, so sneak preview. I picked up Street Fighter EX3. So, this is when Street Fighter decided to go polygonal. Duh. All right, dude, I'll see you later. See you later, Peter. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, the original one was on the original PlayStation, and I do believe the second one was as well. And the third one is the PlayStation 2 version. And you're going to ask me if I played the EX games? Yeah, and I remember the first one. I played it, but I didn't think it was the greatest, but I played it because Street Fighter. But I remember renting EX3 back in the day, and I loved it. So, yeah, Skeleton Guy right here on the back. Right here. Getting his ass kicked by Ryu. So, yeah, when I found this at Video Games Then and Now, I got this for a whopping $3. So I said, you're coming home with me, boy. Had to get this because it's developed by Treasure. It's called Stretch Panic. Did not know about this game back in the day, but I learned about it from Scott Squatch, from Video Game Sellers back in like 2013 or 2014 when he was always making videos before he had like that little hiatus. But I love Treasure as a developer, so I had to have it. Still haven't played it, though. But it looks very colorful and very weird, as Treasure games are. So, yeah, there's that. Stuntman Ignition, racing game. I don't know if this has the director version on it, like the original Stuntman had. But if it doesn't, that's very disappointing, because this would be awesome, because it looks pretty cool. But I do believe it's like you have like a movie set, and you have an action scene that you need to play out, and you need to hit your marks and stuff like that. So it seems pretty cool. As a movie person, that seemed kind of neat to me. But I don't have high expectations. Got that for a whole $1 at one of those warehouse sales at Half Price Books in Wisconsin, where everything in this gigantic warehouse is $1. Doesn't matter what it is. This one's probably going to be on my next Diamonds in the Rough for the PS2, and that's Sub Rebellion. I picked this one up at People Play Games when they were still around, and it's a submarine underwater shooter, I guess, but it's 3D from behind the sub, and you can also do it from behind the periscope, and it's very, very fun. I love this game. The graphics are pretty fantastic, so that's one you got to keep out for. I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot because I would rather save it for the video. So Jason of Course Flood Gaming, if you're still here, I got these from him. He had like a giant lot that he picked. He's always picking up lots of games off of like people on Facebook Marketplace, and whenever he gets doubles, he offers them to to his friends. And he had like this bucket of stuff, and he's like, "What do you need in here?" And I said, "Oh, I need Suikoden 4 and Suikoden 5." But since I don't have any of the other games in the series, well, I do have. I have Suikoden 1, which I picked up at the half price. Did I get that from him also? Yes, I did. I think I did get Suikoden 1 from him also. Jesus. But I want 2 and 3, which are pretty goddamn expensive, before I can play all of them. I don't want to get into it and then be like, oh, I'm stuck because I want to play part 2. Suikoden. Summoner, which was like one of the launched games for the PlayStation 2, and I kind of avoided it because I didn't think it looked all that great. But for a launch game, it doesn't look too bad, but I've never played it. But there's a sequel to that and a spin-off also. Super Bust-A-Move. How do I really need to talk about Bust-A-Move? It's Puzzle Bobble on the PlayStation 2. Awesome. As many variations of this there are out there, I still enjoy this game. It's been around for 2 decades, and I still play it all the time. And there's one coming out for the the Switch, and I'm probably gonna buy that too. Or is that just a Bubble Bobble game? Yeah, that cover. When I did the original like collection video when I first started my channel up and I was going through all the games I had in my collection, I used this on the thumbnail of me like looking at it like, what's this? Because that is a terrible cover. That is nightmare. That's nightmare fuel. This is a bad game. I talked about this in a video. I don't remember which one. Was it Bad Licensed Games? The one I did with John Riggs, I think, and Wood, it might be. But yeah, Superman Shadow of Apocalypse. It's a 3D Superman simulator where you fly, you fight, you beat them up, doing missions, basically. The mission structure is kind of like Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movie games that came out on the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox and all that. But with Superman, and it controls like shit. And the graphics are kind of cool because they're cel-shaded, so they make it look like a cartoon. But it controls like garbage. The hit detection is awful. The missions are stupid. Like, the first time you play the game, you're getting used to the controls. You can get killed by a generic thug because you can't get used to the fighting controls. Which one are you talking about? The Super Bust to Move? If it tilts when it's unbalanced? It doesn't say, but I don't remember. Conveyor belts challenge your super BAM skills? Could be. This one I talked about in my Diamonds in the Rough for the PS2. It's Swashbucklers, Blue versus Gray. So here's another game that's a whole bunch of genres thrown into one. So it's like a pirate simulator a little bit. So you've got one-on-one fighting games where you're fighting with cutlasses. There's pirate ship battles, like, with cannons and everything on the ocean. There's platforming. There's like beat 'em up aspects where you get surrounded and you have to like fight your way out of a situation. There's RPG stuff where you got to go into towns on foot and like converse with people to get clues as to what you need to do, get missions and whatnot. It is really, really fun. And I found this at the Exchange right down the street for a whopping $1.50. And I picked it up because it was super cheap, and I did not expect to like it as much as I did. So that's why it ended up in my Diamonds in the Rough video. Haven't played this yet. It's still sealed. This was one of the games I got for $1 on Amazon. I will not be selling this one because I kind of want to have all these games anyway. But it's Siphon Filter, Dark Mirror, and then there's the port of the the PSP game, Siphon Filter, Logan's Shadow. These are 3D, third-person action games, stealth games. I love the ones on the PlayStation 1. Like, just walking around and using the taser on somebody until they catch on fire, and the noises that come out of their mouths are priceless. Type of shit. So I fell in love with that series with the first one, and I've enjoyed it ever since. But I really need to get into this one, Dark Mirror. I have this for the PSP also. And then there's Siphon Filter Omega Strain, which comes in a slipcase for some reason. But this one has online capabilities, so I do believe this has multiplayer. Yeah, network adapter, PS2, 2 to 4 players. Can't use it now, but why not? But Siphon Filter, I've always loved this series, like I said, so I had to have it. And I had to buy this game twice, because the first one that I bought, I did not realize when I bought it that it had a whole lot of, like, what was it? There was a sticker down here on the bottom that covered like the entire bottom part of the box, and by peeling it off and using some of the Goo Gone to try to get some of the residue off, it like bleached the lacquer off of the cover, and it honestly looked like I had pissed on it or something. It turned like bright yellow and all that. I was like, no. So I got rid of it and got a new copy of it. But the thing was, I sold my copy of it for like $1 more than I paid for it, and then I got this for $1.50 at the Exchange down the street. Go figure. Whew, here we got another double. Taito Legends and Taito Legends 2 compilations, obviously. Arcade game compilations, no less. So we have Space Invaders, Jungle Hunt, one of my all-time favorite arcade games. Bubble Bobble, Operation Wolf, hell yeah. Elevator Action, yes. Phoenix, Zookeeper, Battle Shark, Colony 7, Continental Crisis, Electric Yo-Yo, what? Volfied, never heard of that one. Gladiator, The New Zealand Story, which I have on the PC Engine. Ninja Kids, Operation Thunderbolt, which is the sequel to Operation Wolf. Return of the Invaders, which is Space Invaders 2. Tokyo, Plump Pop, never heard of that. Rainbow Islands, cool. 2-Bit, Great Swordsman, Space Gun, I love Space Gun. It's a on-rails shooter that's kind of like an alien game. Space Invaders Part 2, Super Kicks, Exisius, whatever. Plotting, Thunder Fox, and the original Rastan, which I love. I used to play that in the arcade at a Greek restaurant by my parents' house all the time. And then you have the second one, which has Alpine Ski, Darius Gaiden, Curie Kinton, Arabian Magic. Wow, this is written in such a small font I can barely read it. Bonds Adventure, Liquid Kids, yes. Camel Try, okay. Lunar Rescue, Chack and Pop, Elevator Action Returns. When I first got this, I played Elevator Action Returns on it for like 2 hours. Super Space Invaders 91, Cleopatra Fortune, The Legend of Kage, hell yeah. Metal Back, Crazy Balloon, Poochie Carrot, Don Doko Don, The Original Kicks, Dungeon Maggot, Rhyme Ice, whatever, Rastan 2, Puzzle Bobble 2, The Fairyland Story, Space Invaders 95, Football Champ, Frontline, I always played that in the arcade as well, Violence Fight, Gekirenden, Growl, awesome, Kiki Kakai, Jesus, Gun and Frontier, and Space Invaders Deluxe. That's a lot of games. I love Rastan, man. Every time we go to this restaurant, what was it, Uncle Freddy's? No, Skipper's. Every time we go there, they had the Rastan arcade game, and I'd play it for, like, while we're waiting for the food, so I'd be playing it for a good 10 minutes. It was great. Don't have a lot of games in this series, but I'm trying to get them all because I would like to play through them, even though a lot of them are super freaking expensive. But Tales from the Abyss, one of the Tales of series. I talked about this in the franchises I never played, but and what I'm going to do about it video that I did. That was a response to Jason from Corpse Flood Gaming. This is probably like part 37 or something in the series. I don't know. But I got this from him, Jason. He gave this to me when he gave me those 2 Suikoden games. But I got a whole bunch of RPGs from him, like in a trade that we did. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Is this the New Mutation times? I don't remember. I was not watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when this was a thing. So I do not know which iteration of the Turtles this is. And the sequel, Turtles 2 Battle Nexus, 3D beat-em-up games with the Turtles, cel-shaded graphics. I know a lot of people hate that style of graphics. I don't. I think it looks okay, depending on what game you use it on. Not Legend of Zelda. What happened? I didn't catch that. What? There's a third game also. I do believe I have that for the Xbox. Tekken Tag Tournament. This is a launch game for the PlayStation 2. When I was going to get my PlayStation 2 originally, when I was doing that raffle at the Kmart where I used to work that I talked about, I think in the first PlayStation 2 stream video, I had this game in my hand. I was going to buy it along with the PlayStation 2. And when I didn't get the PlayStation 2, I just put it right back down and I walked away. But yeah, it's another Tekken game. Except this one you can have multiple people on your team. And when one gets low on health, you can swap them out, kind of like in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. It's okay. Here's a good one. I'm gonna be replacing this one soon. I tried to, I couldn't find it for a good price. So I need to find a copy of this somewhere for the Xbox. But it's Terminator 3: The Redemption. Now, this is an awesome Terminator game. So there is a Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines game that came out for the Xbox and the GameCube and the PlayStation 2. And it's okay. It's just not the greatest. And I guess because people were really disappointed in it, I wasn't really one of them. I thought it was all right. Like a year or two later, they decided to make a brand new Terminator 3 game to make up for it, and they did it right. I know a lot of people don't like Terminator 3 as a movie. I think it's fine. It's not the greatest movie in the series, but it's not the worst either. That's salvation, as far as I'm concerned. But it's a really fun game that follows the plot of the movie very, very well, and spent a lot of time in the future world at the very beginning also trying to get to the time displacement equipment to send you back in time to protect John Connor and Kate Brewster. But it's fantastic. I love the way the game is set up. I love all the different missions that you have, the way it plays around with some of the things that happens in the movie. You got the motorcycle chase with the big hook car or hook truck thing from the movie. It's great. That's a fantastic game. I'm so glad that I own it, and I'm definitely going to be looking for that for the Xbox. Like I said, I couldn't find a copy of it, but I did find a copy of the original Terminator 3 game. I would have talked about Terminator 3 for this if I wasn't getting rid of it because it's on the Xbox now. The original Time Splitters, not a big fan of this one. Why there's a pair of metal tits on the cover, I don't know. Why they thought that was a good idea, I don't know. Excuse me, my throat's going dry. This was, I think, a launch game for the PlayStation 2 also, and it's a first-person shooter, and it didn't really have a story, and it didn't really grab me because it seemed like oh, here's a level, beat it. Here's another level that's completely unrelated to the last one you just did, beat it. And it just didn't gel for me until Part 2 came out. When Part 2 came out, I was like, okay, I'm on board. But the first one just didn't really do anything for me. But I played it because first-person shooter, and I like first-person shooters. But not my favorite game in the series. But this is definitely a series that needs to make a comeback. Here's another one of the games that I got for a penny on Amazon that one day. And it's Tokobot Plus Mysteries of the Karakuri. It's like a 3D puzzle platformer. And it looked pretty fun, that's why I picked it up, but also because it was, a penny. But I haven't played it a whole lot, but it's not bad. It has a massive damn manual, which is probably why I didn't play it for any longer, because I needed to read it. Probably the worst game in this series ever. Tomb Raider, Angel of Darkness. I think this game was released completely broken. And the only reason people bought it was, it's the big... I remember that Eidos was like promoting this as like the big return for Tomb Raider after the movie came out with Angelina Jolie. Oh no, this came out when Cradle of Life was coming out. So this is when the second movie was coming out. So this is a response to the first movie being a huge hit. And it looks like they rushed it out. And it was like unfinished and dumb. And it has this really cool and like a foil cover, which is rad. But don't let the shiny lights fool you. This game is doo-doo. It controls like ass. And that's the worst part of it. It controls worse than the original Tomb Raider does, on the PlayStation 1. That's how bad it is. Luckily, a few years later, we got Tomb Raider Legend, which is like the real reboot and is awesome. Tomb Raider Legend is probably one of my favorite Tomb Raider games of all time. Like, it has to be a really great game for me to keep going back and playing a game over and over again, and Tomb Raider Legend was one that I went back and played a lot. Something I do not do for this game. It's Top Gun Combat Zones. It's just a aerial combat simulator. You do not play as Maverick, from what I understand, which is sad. But at least you don't have to land the plane like you do in the NES version. Transformers. This is probably the first good Transformers game we ever got on a console. I previously have owned the Famicom game. Was it the Mystery of Convoy? They misspelled Convoy on it. And that's shit. And then I never played the Battle or the Beast Wars one until Captain Foley from Trek Yards did that Transformers video with me over Skype, and he told me about it. I picked it up at Game Dude while I was visiting my brother in LA, brought it home, and I was like, yes, he was right, this game is garbage. So technically this is the first good Transformers game we ever got, and I really like it. It's 3D, obviously. You have a bunch of Transformers, of Autobots you can play as. I always just pick Optimus Prime because why not? And yeah, you're looking for Energon and everything, and I don't remember exactly what the point was. Oh, the mini-cons. That was it. Really fun, and the graphics are great. I highly recommend that one. Yeah, the first level. I mean, you ever watch the Game Grumps play it? Go to the Game Grumps channel and look it up. The best thing about that video is the sketch that they do before they actually start playing the game. They do a sketch which is funny as hell, but like they can't even beat like the first 30 seconds of the game. Like they can't even get past it because like of the first bullet that comes out, they can't avoid it. All right, thanks for stopping by, Top Spot. Thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it, dude. Have a good night. Yeah, go watch that Game Grumps Mystery of Convoy video. It is hysterical. This is a game I did not know existed until Scott Squatch talked about it in one of his pickup videos, like when you go garage sailing. So I'm a huge fan of Tecmo's Deception. And there's 3 games from that series on the PlayStation. Kagero Deception 2 is probably my favorite. There's a 4th one that came out on the PlayStation 3 and an updated version that came out for the PlayStation 4. But there was one that came out in between that I did not know about because it's not called Tecmo's Deception in any way. It's called Trapped. It's by Tecmo, but how am I supposed to know that this is part of that series if it doesn't have the title in it? So I had no idea. But yes, this is another Tecmo's Deception game just for the PlayStation 2. And it's awesome. The whole idea is you're playing as the bad guy. Like, you're in a castle, and people are coming to kill you. And you have to set traps for them so you can kill them before they can get to you. And the more XP you get from killing the intruders, the better, the bigger, more complex, more deadly the traps get. And by the end of the game, you basically have like a Rube Goldberg mansion. It is crazy. I love these games. It was a cool idea, and they keep running with it. I hope they keep up with the series. Probably going to be getting rid of this one as well. Treasure Planet. I remember I got this at Half Price Books, like when I first got back into collecting for like $1. And it's not good. It's a 3D platformer based on a really bad Disney movie. I saw this in the theater opening night, and I hated it. And the game's not much better. So, yeah, this is probably going bye-bye, even though it's a licensed game. So I'm going to put that off to the side just in case I want to get rid of it. Turok Evolution. I think this is supposed to be like a reboot. Because I don't think it's supposed to be like another sequel. But whatever. Another Turok first-person shooter with dinosaurs. Haven't played it yet, so can't comment. Because there was another Turok game that came out for the 360 and the PS3 also. Maybe that's the reboot. So this is technically Turok 4 then? Well, it does have the same font for the name, so I would assume so. The only reason I have the greatest hits version of this is because this is the only one that was online. And it's Twisted Metal Black. This is the online version. And holy shit. I love Twisted Metal is my favorite thing ever. Like, when I first got my PlayStation 1 and I got the original Twisted Metal, like, I played it. I talked about it in the PlayStation 1 live stream that I played it so much. I knew every nook and cranny that you could hide in and not have to take any damage, especially from the last boss, Minion, the big semi-truck. I found a nook in a tunnel where I could sit and kick his ass and he could not hit me back. And, like, I knew everything. I knew every secret, every in and out, everything. I thought it was awesome. And then the sequel came out and completely blew my mind also. 3 and 4, not so much. But I thought the series was dead until this came out for the PlayStation 2. And holy shit, this game just, like, completely upped the ante for the whole franchise. And I could not stop playing this one also. I played this one about as much as the first game. And the first time I beat the story mode, and you hear the Rolling Stones Paint It Black start playing over the end credits, I lost my shit. Like, I was just like, oh my god! That is the coolest thing ever. So, yes, Twisted Metal Black, probably my favorite Twisted Metal game in the whole series. Everything about it is just amazing. I can't play it enough. I can't get enough. You know what? After this stream, I'm probably going to go pop that in and play it. And then they, like, for some reason, Sony was, like, doing ports to the PlayStation 2 of their PSP games. Okay. Like I said, I have the Logan's Shadow. No, sorry, Dark Mirror. Siphon Filter Dark Mirror, which was a port of the Siphon Filter for the PSP. They also did a port of Twisted Metal Head On, which was the PSP Twisted Metal game, which is pretty fun. I'll give it that. But this is the extra Twisted edition because it's on a real console and not the handheld. But, yeah, it's a decent Twisted Metal game. You know, it doesn't suck, so there's that. This is probably going to be in a Diamonds in the Rough video. This game is the most bizarre frickin' thing ever. I found this on Amazon, and I was kind of curious what it is, so I looked it up on YouTube to see what some of the footage, what the game looked like, and I was like, oh, I need that game in my life, like, right now. It's called Under the Skin. It's by Capcom. So what it is you play as this alien, and you have to disguise yourself as human beings. So I'm going to read the back to you, just so we're clear. The aliens, I'm going to put it in front so you can see the cover. The aliens are coming, the aliens are coming, the invasion has begun. You play as Cosme, a comical alien from the planet Mischief, who has made his way to Earth to make it his personal training ground. Your mission, pull pranks and create havoc. Disguise yourself as a human to walk freely through the cities of Earth in order to set up practical jokes, create panic, and disrupt the lives of these crazy Earthlings. 40 plus outrageous pranks, including bad karaoke, throwing tacks, or just a good old stinky fart. Play tricks on the humans and collect the gold coins. 8 different and challenging lands to explore. And challenge a friend in 2-player mode. Featuring the Nemesis and Jill Valentine from Resident Evil. What? Yeah. There's like cutesy versions of the Nemesis and Jill. That's crazy. So I had to have this game. It's like playing a Tecmo's Deception game, but with like practical jokes instead of traps that kill people. And the sense of humor is like off the wall. I absolutely love this game. I love it. And it's like definitely a game that no one ever seems to talk about. Unreal Tournament, first-person shooter, but this one's a lot more about the multiplayer than the single-player. But I love first-person shooters. There is a single-player mode, so that's why I picked it up. This also is available on the Dreamcast, and I think that's the only moderately priced Dreamcast game I still have yet to own. Everything else is a sports game or a racing game. But, yeah, Unreal Tournament I think is the only one I still need that is of a pricier type. Still haven't opened this one up, but last time I talked about... God, what game was it? Was it Goblin Commander? There was a game I talked about that I bought at a gas station. I bought like 3 games at this gas station while my friend Josh and I went to the Renaissance Fair in Wisconsin. And like we went and bought something to drink. Because we were like dying of thirst. It was really hot out that day. We bought a couple of bottles of Gatorade, picked up something to eat. And while we're standing in line, I just kind of like looked off to the side, and there's like this rack of video games, and I'm looking through them, and there was like 3 games on there. There was 1 for the Wii, 2 for the PlayStation 2 that I bought. I cannot remember what the one for the PlayStation 2 I talked about last time, but one of them was Urban Reign. You can see how much I paid for it, and it's a 3D beat 'em up. So I said, why not? It looked kind of cool. Still haven't played it. It's still sealed. Valkyrie Profile 2, Silmeria, RPG. Haven't played it yet because RPGs. But everyone tells me Valkyrie Profile is pretty amazing. This one I didn't know existed until I went to People Play Games while they were still around. And I found this on their rack, and I said, Jesus, when did that happen? You know, I thought I was pretty into what was available for what console. I did not know that there was a Virtual On game for the PlayStation 2. So Virtual on Mars is like Virtual on 3, I think, at this point. So it's a combat game where you play as gigantic mechs. And you're like in a 3D arena, and you just beat each other up until you're dead. You have projectile attacks, you have like physical, melee attacks and all that. And each robot that you can pick has strengths and weaknesses. Some are faster, some are stronger, whatever. And it's fantastic. But this one has over 40 mechs in it that you can choose from. That's crazy. I think the original game had 8. So when I saw this on the shelf, I said I absolutely had to have it. And it's really fun. Especially in multiplayer mode. So I keep finding these games. I've talked about it before. I don't even play the tabletop RPG that this is based on at all. But I think I have every game based on it. Every video game, I mean. So we have Warhammer 40K Fire Warrior. This is a first-person shooter in the Warhammer universe. So Warhammer is like a tactical tabletop RPG. A bunch of my friends are into it. I'm not. But for some reason, I just buy the video games. There's a couple of games. I have 2 of them for the PlayStation 1. One of them is basically like the board game in video game form, which is like tactical. But a first-person shooter in that universe? Sure, why not? And it's actually not too bad. All right, Tony. Talk to you later, dude. Thanks for stopping by. I'm almost done anyway, so it's not a big deal. War of the Monsters, one of my favorite beat-em-ups for this system. It's like kaiju fist fighting. There's those Godzilla games that are available for this generation, like Godzilla Save the Earth, Godzilla Unleashed, and all that. War of the Monsters is probably the best one out of all of them. This one is just really, really fun, easy to pick up and play. And the graphics are fantastic, and the characters are really fun. You got like a giant monkey, you got giant bugs, you got robots, everything. It's fantastic, and it's a Sony game, so it's quality. So I thought I had more of these, but I guess I don't. Wild Arms 3, this is another one of the franchises that I talked about in that franchises that I never got into and what I'm going to do about it. Response video that I did. I have Wild Arms, 1 and 2? Yeah, 1 and 2 for the PlayStation. 3, there's a 4, I think there's a 5, and there's like a remake of one of them. So yeah, I need to get them all before I play through them because I don't want to get stuck. But this is definitely, because it's like a Western themed one, and that's a very strange thing for an RPG. I'm going to probably play through these pretty soon once I get the other ones. Winback Operation, or Covert Operations. This is a port of a Nintendo 64 game, which I rented from a local video store, and I thought was okay. It's like a cover-based shooter. And sort of stealthy also. And I had a lot of fun playing it, but don't like the Nintendo 64, so I never bought it. I want to say, even back in the day, like when it came to the Nintendo 64, I only had maybe a whopping 10 games for that console. I could not stand playing with that controller. So when I found out that there was a port to the PlayStation 2, you bet your ass I picked it up. I don't have to play with that shitty controller on the Nintendo 64. Yeah, I'm getting it. And it's just as good. Excuse me, I got the hiccups again. It's just the graphics and everything about it is better. Because it's not on the Nintendo 64. And there's also a sequel, Winback 2 Project Poseidon, which is more of the same. Cover-based shooting, stealth, whatnot, spy stuff. It's awesome. I do believe I like the first one more, though. Here is, I think, another... No, I don't think this is a port. Is it? I can't be sure. I think this might be a port of a PSP game also. But another Wipeout game, Wipeout Fusion. I don't think Psygnosis was developing them anymore at this point. I don't see their name on here. Yeah, I don't think they were. I think this is when Psygnosis got absorbed by Sony. But, whatever. I love Wipeout games. Futuristic racing games. I had to have it. It's awesome. Another anthology from SNK. That's pretty much the only thing they seem to release for this console generation was compilations of their arcade games. We have the World Heroes anthology. This has World Heroes 1 to World Heroes 2 Jet and World Heroes Perfect. One-on-one fighting games. You know, that's pretty much all SNK does. One-on-one fighting games. So, I enjoy the first World Heroes. I used to play that in the arcade on one of those multi-Neo Geo arcade cabinets, and I really enjoyed it. So there's ones for the Super Nintendo, and I was always kind of weary of buying those because I didn't think that it would hold up. Like, because I know the characters had to get redesigned and shrunk down a little bit, so it wouldn't be like playing the arcade game, so I never really got into it. But I might rethink that. What is this? X-Men 2, Wolverine's Revenge. Still haven't played this, but had to have it because movie, licensed game, had to have it. But can't be all that bad, can it? It doesn't look terrible, but it's based on my favorite X-Men movie of all time, so I had to have it. Although the best X-Men game is based on what I think is the worst movie, which is X-Men Origins Wolverine. The X-Men Origins Wolverine game that came out for the PS3 and the 360 is probably my favorite X-Men game out of all of them. And I hate that movie. So here we have 2 more. There's a 3rd game in the series, which I need to get before I can play through the whole thing. Because Jason of Corpse Light Gaming gave me the first game in the series. There's Xenosaga Episode 1, Der Wilde don't know what that means, but it's German. And Xenosaga Episode 2, and I'm not reading what that one is. The subtitle. No thank you. Super complicated RPG sci-fi stuff. I have not played them yet, but they look crazy and long and complicated and convoluted, but we shall see because I will be playing through them. Here's another diamond in the rough. The X-Files Resist or Serve. And this is a third-person action, stealth, mystery, investigation type game. It's not like the PlayStation 1 game where it was like a full motion video and it was like a point-and-click adventure game. This one is actually like a third-person action adventure game. And some characters from the episodes will show up like enemies and whatnot. Like you can see the Parasite from the TV show shows up at one point. And it's really, really cool. I like this one a lot. And it has another one of those really cool foil covers. So I highly recommend that one. Extreme G Racing, XG3. The first 2 XG games, or Extreme Racing games, came out for the Nintendo 64. I rented the first one, and I thought it was okay, but I hated playing it because of that controller, so I never bought it. So when I found out that a third game came out on this generation, I said, okay, that's when I'll pick me up a copy. And it's actually not too bad. It's kind of like playing Wipeout, but you're like on motorcycles. It's pretty fun. Another one I'm probably going to be selling because this is based on a Saturday morning cartoon I never watched, but only got this for $1 at the disc replay place, which does not exist anymore over here by me. So I'm probably going to get rid of this. That's Shaolin, or Xiaolin. It's spelled weird. Xiaolin Showdown. It's like a 3D beat 'em up. Everything's cell shaded to make it look like a cartoon, but it's based on a Saturday morning cartoon that I don't watch. So this one's going to get placed on the side to maybe go bye-bye. Unlike these two, which are not going anywhere. I love this series. The only game I've played in the series is the first one, which is stupid. But I have pretty much every game in the series except the one that never came out physically over here, which is coming out pretty soon, I think next month, in a big set for the PlayStation 4, which I need to make sure I have money in the bank for that when it comes out. But we're talking the Yakuza games. I have almost every one of them except for Part 5, which is the one that never came out over here. There's another one coming out, like a Yakuza 7 or whatever it is. But Part 1 is pretty easy to find. I've played Part 1 and I really enjoyed it, even though the cutscenes are like Kojima long. Like they are like, can I just play the game now type of, where you're sitting there watching, you're like, okay, I understand, story needs to be told. Can I play the game now, please? They're just super long and drawn out, kind of dumb. But the first one is pretty easy to find for the PlayStation 2. The second one, on the other hand, was not. The second one became super expensive, and I couldn't afford it. Like, I remember I went to the exchange over here. It was when I got my Lunar 1 and 2, and they had a used copy of Part 2 in their case, and they wanted like $150 for it. And I said, you can kiss my ass. You know, no. I don't know what it was. Was Part 2 released in limited quantities or something back when it first came out? Because why is it so hard to get? So I pretty much said I'm never going to be playing that one. You know, I might just have to go from 1 to 3 because I'm not going to spend that much money on a Yakuza game. And then, like, out of nowhere, I want to say like 3 or 4 years ago, Sega, for some reason, I don't know if they did another run or they had a lot of like leftover copies in their warehouse and they found them and they were like, oh shit, put these up for sale. But I had Yakuza 2 in my watch list on Amazon, and all of a sudden it said it's available again. Because it was never available like through Amazon. You had to get it through the marketplace through a seller. All of a sudden it says it's available through Amazon, and it was normal priced. And I said, oh shit, yeah, now's the time. So picked up a copy of Yakuza 2, and I still have not opened it. But it's I don't know if this is a reprint or if it's an original copy that they found like a whole bunch of extra stock and they put it up for sale. I don't know what the deal is, but I was super lucky to get a hold of that when they put it up. More like it, am I right? Yeah, you're right, dude. Yakuza's the shit. Once I get that set that comes out, what is it, next month? That has all the, 3, 4, and 5 in it? I can finally play through the series. And the last game is probably another one that I'm going to sell. I got this for $1 at Half Price Books, and it was, I think, the first time I ever went to Half Price Books with the intention of starting to build my collection. I bought this game, and I don't like it, so it's probably going to go bye-bye. And that is Zathura. This is technically Jumanji 3. I know Jack Black considers this Jumanji 3, and he calls... Jumanji 2. This is Jumanji 2. So there's Jumanji, then Zathura, then Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, then Jumanji, The Next Level. He says that this is part 2. Whatever. But it's not good. It's not good at all. Based on a movie that I'm not a fan of, and the game is not any better. So this is probably going bye-bye as well, even though it is a licensed game. Don't need to have them all, but I like to have ones based on the movies I like, and I do not like that one. So... that is it, I think. Let me double check real quick to make sure I don't have anything anywhere else that is PlayStation 2 centric laying around somewhere where I can't see it. No. That's it for the PlayStation 2. 3 freaking videos, guys. An hour and a half each. I would not have been able to do all of this in one shot. I would have lost my goddamn mind. I'll give you $1.50 for profit. Which game? For part 2? Oh, for you, the Zathura? No. Bad, Jason. It's a terrible game. It's a bad... I don't like the movie either. But anyway, thank you everybody for sticking around for all 3 of these live streams for the PlayStation 2. I will be back next week with one for my Game Boy Advance and the PSP. And I think I can get that all done in one video. It's not that much. Yeah, it shouldn't be that bad. Followed by, I do believe it's the original Xbox. Either the Xbox or the GameCube. I cannot remember which one came next. Probably, maybe the GameCube, I think. But anyway, have new content coming out soon also. On Tuesday, I will be releasing another Top 3 Tuesday video. It's my top 3 games of the 2010s. Talked about it on the Game Tenants podcast with Jason of Corpsefly Gaming here and Church the Game Grinder. So if you haven't heard that podcast, check it out. Came out in December. It's awesome. And I'm also going to make a video about it as well because making that podcast made me really think about that kind of thing, and I kind of wanted to do a video about it. Also have my top 10 NES games video coming out in probably a couple weeks, as well as another Diamonds in the Rough, but this one's going to be all about licensed games. And then I'll get back to the ones about the specific consoles. That you did, kid. So yeah, a lot of content coming out. I've already pre-filmed a lot of stuff. I just got to start editing it all together. So yeah, there's a lot of content coming in 2020, as well as a lot of stuff that's going to be coming about. A lot of stuff coming out about the Midwest Gaming Classic, which is the first weekend of a. I cannot talk. I am so tired and thirsty and exhausted. I can't even make a complete sentence. The Midwest Gaming Classic is the first weekend of April. And as usual, I'll probably be making a lot of content about it. There will definitely be one that's me talking about what I'm looking for, like 5 things I'm looking for at the convention. There'll definitely be a live pickup video the weekend, or the week, probably the day after. I had the day off after the convention, so it's on a Saturday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and probably on Monday there'll be a live stream with me talking about it. As well as a videoed version, edited video of the panel that I'm going to be on this year with Jason of Corpsefly Gaming. So keep an eye out for all that stuff. A lot of content, like I said. I'm also going to start live streaming on Twitch again. I have a new laptop that can actually handle Streamlabs. So I'm going to probably start streaming my Saturn games over there, like in a row. Like the way Captain Algebra does his Genesis A to Z, I'm going to be doing my Saturn A to Z. So I can start playing through those bitches. So keep an eye out. Like I said, a lot of content coming this year. So thank you again for sticking around for the whole hour and a half of me chit-chatting about my PlayStation 2 games. I'll talk to you next time. So this is Chris, the old-ass retro gamer, signing off. Have a good night, everybody.